Good morning, Jeremy. How are you doing, brother?
Good morning. Good.
Good. Hey, I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day. I know it's early morning there, and you're getting up and to talk a little bit about your experience in the Reconnect program, man. So I appreciate it that you're taking the time out of your day to do this. So let's get straight into it. Maybe you could just share a little bit about yourself, about what were you going through in your marriage before we started working together? So if you just take yourself back 6 weeks ago, where were you at? What were you experiencing in your marriage, man?
Constant, severe arguing, divorce, my wife asking me to move out, a lot of resentment towards each other, constant arguing about the past, basically feeling hated and worthless.
So it was safe to say you were in a pretty dark place, right, when we first talked?
Yeah, she had told me that she had talked to a divorce lawyer.
Okay, man. Okay. And before we started working together, I mean, what had you tried to solve the issues that you were having in your marriage?
Some of these issues stemmed back 2 years, some stemmed back 10 years. A lot of it was repetitive behavior that just kind of built resentment over and over. A lot of bickering about the past, a lot of blame, both blaming each other for insignificant things from years ago. We had tried marriage counseling in late 2018, which now we've both agreed that we feel that actually made things considerably worse.
Okay.
I tried the 5 love languages book, talked to, family, friends. And a lot of times I think we both just ignored the problems and kind of hoped they would go away. I think that was one of our biggest flaws. We probably are both guilty, my wife and I, of ignoring these huge problems and blowouts and just kind of going through the motion of daily life and I guess hoping somehow magically things would change.
Sure, man, I hear you.
So
and like before you then decided to go, enroll in the Reconnect program, what were were there any hesitations or concerns you made before making the decision that you wanted to start working with me?
Yeah, financially, I wasn't sure if it was, am I going to get anything out of this? Is this going to help? Am I just wasting money? I had kind of had a little breakthrough with her maybe 2 weeks before I met you, where we had identified at least her point of view of the issues. And she described it as manipulation and control, or unintentional manipulation.
Sure.
A lot of jealousy and unfounded accusations towards her.
Yeah.
So when I started Googling, what that meant, what she was describing, what that meant on my end, I joined some marriage groups on Facebook. I started researching all types of marriage builders and how to not be a jealous husband, how to deal with insecurities, how to shed negativity. So I was reading a lot of this online and watching little videos kind of similar to your initial intro video.
Yeah.
And really, I guess just you reaching out to me on that marriage group. And I think what made the difference with you and your program versus I probably honestly looked at 8-10 different, they start popping up right in your advertisements as you're Googling for these things, and you see more and more of them. I just felt like yours was a little more personal, and the fact you were willing to reach out and actually have a face-to-face, a Zoom conversation with me, just to go over things and feel things out, made me feel like, you actually, rather than just a repetitive hey, here's this program,
Yeah.
watch this video, do what this book says, and you'll be good, right?
Yeah.
That's how I
I hear
feel
you.
like a lot of things are
Yeah.
marketed.
Okay.
It just felt more tailor made to me and my problem. So that's why I ultimately decided to enroll in the Reconnect program.
Awesome, man. And maybe now you could share for them, like everybody, like what's changed since you've gone through the Reconnect program in the 6 weeks. Maybe you can share what's where you're at now.
Everything. I don't even know how else to say it. I would, the hardest part for me was, in the initial part of the program, it feels unnatural. And it was the hardest part for me was kind of stepping away from your marriage and your wife and just, focusing on you. It feels like the wrong thing to do. It feels like the opposite. What do we try to do when our relationship's failing? I read about it now, and it's so clear to see other people struggling online and stuff. You start chasing your spouse more and more, more letters, more flowers, more I love yous, more desperation. And it has the opposite effect that you want. And definitely the hardest part was, okay, I'm just, I'm going to ignore her, not ignore her, but,
focus on yourself.
Just, yeah. And it's a hard thing to do. If you're honest with yourself and you really, not only are you digging into your own flaws and mistakes,
yeah,
you're also kind of alienating yourself from your spouse, and it just feels like a doomed ending.
Yeah.
But you see them start to come around and respond pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so when I saw some of that, it was short-lived, right? I was struggling with not relapsing into my old habits. But when I saw a couple signs from her that, geez, this weird, she actually seems like she wants to talk to me today.
Yeah.
It started reinforcing the process in my head, and it got me to jump in and commit as best I could to the process. And, things just slowly improved, and we still struggled. The first maybe 3-4 weeks, we had a couple gaps in our 6-week program, so it was a little longer than that. And I had a couple relapse incidents, but not all was lost as I feared, messaging you in a panic.
Yeah.
So just sticking with it and
yeah, man, you double steps. Yeah, man, you double down on the process. That's like once you double down on it, man, you started getting like incredible results. So like, tell me a little bit like where's your intimacy at now? Like from where it was, like what's really been the core results like you've gotten out of this program? How are you with your wife? How is the intimacy now?
Everything just feels almost new and, like dating again. Obviously on a deeper level, we've been together 13 years now. Flirty, funny, we're able to joke and tease each other. She's, touchy feely, whereas before I couldn't even give her a hug.
Yeah.
When she tells me stories now, you can see on her face, she's happy and excited to be talking to me. And, she, was able to finally say out loud that she loves me, which was pretty hard for her in general. I think just the way she's wired emotionally. So
nice, man.
It's been huge, and I finally get to look forward to her coming home and being excited to see each other and being excited to talk to each other.
Man, I'm so proud of you. Like that's it. It's like we've been discussing this recently about. It's almost hard to really fathom how far you've come in the 6 weeks. Like to go from
it's a tough thing, man, to look back at. To
go from divorce to now hearing that your wife's saying I love you and have that new sense of intimacy that you haven't had in 13 years. I mean, it's huge. Yeah. It's huge, man. So just one final question here before we wrap it up. So what type of men do you think would benefit from the Reconnect program? And like, what would you say to somebody at the moment that is in your space, you know, whatever, 6 weeks ago, and like, oh, I don't know, my marriage is falling apart and I'm not sure if I want to make an investment. So what type of man would benefit from it? And what would you say to a person that's sitting on the fence or doesn't know what to do?
Trying to think of outside of my own situation. I would say any man who feels their wife slipping away or pushing them away and doesn't want your marriage to end would be the best way to describe it. My personal reasons were, you know, the last thing I wanted to do was lose my wife. You know, I still loved her very, very much. And I think the biggest thing for me was understanding that, acknowledging that my behavioral problems and habits were the reason for her drifting apart, not her. You know, I always blamed her and why would you do this and why would you do that? And it was reactions from my actions.
Sure, man.
And I think once you can accept that and take some guidance and work on even as simple as the way you word a question or a statement, can have huge effects on how your spouse views you.
Sure, man. And taking leadership, just like you did, you took leadership from a
taking leadership. And you know, my biggest one, this will differ for some, was you know, insecurity and jealousy that led to crazy manifested accusations and blame and arguments and resentment, and that's what ultimately was driving her away. So
cool, brother. And what would you say then to somebody that's sitting on the fence and like, I'm not sure whether I want to do it? What would you say to them?
Well, as far as the, you know, financial side of things, that's going to be different for everybody. But if you're married, it's cheaper than divorce. Any way you cut it. That's the simplest way. That's how I kind of talked myself into it, was, you know, divorce was on the table with my spouse, and, you know, she was serious about it. And I figured, you know, if that's what we were ultimately facing, the fee for the reconnect was, you know, pale in comparison to the expense of divorce. So I just went for it, and I'm glad I did.
Awesome, man. So listen, I just want to honor you, man. I'm so proud of like how far you've come and how you went with the process. And I'm so happy for you, your wife, and your kids, man. It fills me up with joy, you know, to see, you know,
it's a good, sorry.
Yeah, no, man, go on.
It's a great example for our kids to, you know, they obviously seen the arguing and the, you know, all that, the negativity and the distance between us. And I think, I hope this helps them in their relationships as they get older, to know that, you know, you can be in a bad spot and you can make adjustments and you can work on a marriage instead of just walking away like a lot of people seem to do nowadays.
Sure, man. That's awesome. So listen, thank you so much for taking time to share your experience with me and with other men. And man, I'm looking for this. So we stay in touch, and I just want to wish you and your wife like all the best, man, and continued success in the future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the holidays, and she's already got some concerts planned for March. So
nice, man.
Things are definitely going good.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Thanks, Luke.
Bye.
You too.